For the longest time, when we talked about AI in coding, we were basically just talking about autocomplete, right? Helpful code suggestions. But that whole world is changing, and it's changing fast. We're talking about a leap from these handy little assistants to full-on autonomous teammates. So let's dive into what that really means and check out the rise of these AI software teams. So let me just throw this out there. Is your next coworker going to be an AI? And look, I'm not talking about some chatbot you ping for help when you're stuck. I mean a real teammate, a whole team of autonomous agents that can take on roles, work together, and push entire projects from the first line of code to the finish line. Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, we need to be clear on what an AI agent actually is. This isn't just a tool that sits there waiting for you. Nope, it's an autonomous system. You can give it a high-level goal and it will figure out the plan, grab the tools it needs, like APIs or command line interfaces, and just get the job done. I mean, that is a massive leap from just suggesting a line of code, right? We're talking about understanding the entire task. So the big question is, how do these things actually, think? It's not magic, I promise. It really comes down to a set of super clever design patterns and frameworks that give them the power to act on their own and shoo through some really complex problems. One of the absolute game changers here is a pattern called reflection. You can think of it like an internal feedback loop for the AI. So instead of just spitting out an answer and calling it a day, the agent generates something, then it stops and critiques its own work. It asks itself, did I meet the criteria? Then it goes back and refines it. This ability to self-correct, that's what separates a rough first draft from something you can actually ship. And this right here is why these new frameworks are such a big deal. The old way of doing things was all about these simple linear chains. You go from step A to B to C. That's it. But something like LangGraph, it introduces cycles, it introduces conditional logic. That means an agent can be chugging along, hit a wall, and then decide, you know what, this isn't working. I'm going to loop back and try a different approach, just like a person would. That flexibility is where the real power is. But wait, it gets even better. We're not just talking about a single agent working alone. We're now seeing multi-agent teams. This quote from Mahindra Midapati nails it. Companies are literally building teams of specialized agents. You might have one that's a database guru, another that's a front-end wizard, and maybe a supervisor agent calling the plays and making sure everyone's working together. It's a digital software team. It's wild. Okay, so enough with the theory, right? Let's get practical. How could a team of AI teammates actually take a simple idea and turn it into a real, fully fleshed out backlog of work? Check this out. Here's a real-world workflow using a framework called Crew AI. It all starts with you, just giving it a simple idea. From there, a product manager agent kicks in, and it acts just like a human PM. It breaks your idea down into epics, into user stories. It even fleshes them out with stuff like acceptance criteria. And then the coolest part? It grabs a custom Jira tool and bam, it creates everything right inside your Jira project, all automated. And you can take this idea and just run with it, expanding it across the entire software development lifecycle. Imagine agents for every single stage. One takes your raw idea, another writes the user stories, a third one actually generates the code, and a fourth one acts as a QA engineer running tests to make sure it all works. It's this incredible vision for a totally end-to-end automated process. Okay, so if we have AIs writing all this code, there's a really, really important question we have to ask. Who's securing it? Well, the answer is, you guessed it, another AI, a specialized AI security analyst. And the difference this can make is just huge. Let's be real. Most human security teams are absolutely swamped with backlogs. It's a constant battle. But an AI tool like what Apiro is doing with their AutoFix agent can be a massive force multiplier. It can actually understand your specific code base's architecture, automatically fix risks, enforce your security rules, and just slash the time it takes to get things fixed. This right here drives home why that specialization is so critical. Get this. In an academic study, they tested GitHub Copilot. Now, Copilot is an amazing tool for writing code, right? But in this test, on a codebase known to have security holes, it found 0 of them. Exactly 0. The takeaway is crystal clear. You can't expect a generalist AI to do a specialist's job. You need an expert. And sometimes that expert is also an AI. And here's why. These general-purpose AIs, they just don't have the deep context. They're looking at code in a vacuum. They don't see how all your different repos connect. They miss the big picture architectural plan. And they definitely can't see the ripple effects of a change in a complex microservices setup. These are huge blind spots, and that's exactly what these dedicated architecture-aware security agents are built to see. All right, so we've seen what these agents are, and we've seen what they can do. So let's bring it back to you. What does all of this actually mean for a human developer? How is your job, your day-to-day, going to change? It means your role evolves. It elevates. You're not just banging out boilerplate code anymore. You're moving up the stack. You become the architect, designing the systems that the agents will then go on to build. Your job becomes about setting clear goals and guardrails for your AI teammates. You become the final validator, the one who ensures everything meets the highest standards. And here's a big one. Tool building becomes a superpower. Creating custom tools for your agents to use, that's how you'll unlock insane levels of automation. And as we get all excited about this future, I think it's really important to keep this quote in mind. Because at the end of the day, it's not about building the fanciest, most complex AI agent imaginable. It's about building something that reliably solves a real problem for a real person. That's the name of the game. That's where the value is. And that really brings us to the final big question. If we let these agents automate more and more of the process of development, what incredible new things will we, the humans, be freed up to create? Just think about that. It's a future where we shift from being just coders to being the architects of these incredible automated systems. And honestly, that is a pretty exciting thought to leave you with.